Hello. So, one of the questions that I get asked a lot in my work is how do I know whether my mind, like whether a thought or a feeling is coming from my mind or my ego, or how do I know when it's my inner wisdom speaking to me? How do I know when it's truth? How do I know when it's coming from my higher self? How do I know when it's a thought or an action or something that I am actually in alignment with from a higher self perspective? So I want to share with you, I'm going to share my screen. I've got a few slides that I put together that answer this question. All right. So this is essentially how your mind works. So let's say you're walking down the road, right? Walking down the path that you call your life, and you run into some sort of problem. So maybe it's a symptom, maybe your back starts hurting, maybe you have a headache, maybe there's a problem at work, or an unexpected financial situation. Your washer or dryer goes out and now you're going to have to put money into that, right? There's some sort of hiccup that happens in your life that doesn't feel good, right? Automatically you're like, oh, now I've got this problem and I have to solve it. And so when we are living in the world of our mind, we view that symptom or problem, we view it as an obstacle. We view it as something that is blocking our path forward and we cannot move past it. So on the near side of the obstacle is our current state of being. We're walking around, we're fine, walking our path, doing our thing. And our desired state of being is where we're going to, but all of a sudden this thing pops up. And again, we have this obstacle. The illusion is that we can't get to where we want to go because this thing is now here and blocking our way. So it essentially creates this tunnel vision where all we can see is the symptom, all we can see is the problem, all we can see is the obstacle. So we become hyper focused, like all of our thoughts, all of our energy is going to, now I have this problem that needs to be fixed. And the difference is that when we are able to stay in alignment and stay tuned into our inner wisdom, our higher self, our God self, whatever you want to call it, this is what we actually see. We see, okay, my desired state of being is on the other side of this obstacle. But what happens when we stay in alignment is that we see these paths that start to open up. And they may not be the exact same path that we thought it was going to be, but all of a sudden these alternate paths that are just as good, if not better than the original path that we were on. So our inner wisdom, when we are in tune with our inner wisdom, we're very attuned to possibility rather than limitation. And we're going to talk about that here in a minute. So what I did was put together a bunch of ways that we can know when our mind is the one that is driving the boat, so to speak. And so mind can be used interchangeably with ego. So it's when we're in that state of mind that is characterized by limitation, unworthiness, lack, all of those things is how the mind operates. So a sign that your mind is driving the car of your life is that you don't feel good, right? You feel frustrated, you feel overwhelmed, you feel resentment, bitter, you may be in pain, you feel stuck, right? It feels like there's an obstacle in front of you and you can't get past it. And it feels like they're dead ends, like there's no way around it. Every possibility that your mind can create doesn't feel like a good possibility to you. So again, you feel blocked, unable to move forward until something outside of you shifts. You spend a lot of time trying to figure out things, but get nowhere, right? It's that mental hamster wheel that we hop on when we're trying to solve a problem that doesn't really exist, but we're trying to solve it anyway. Your thoughts are rational, logical, and analytical. So the way that I describe this when I work with people, I'm very tuned into the energy of our words and our thoughts. And so When I work with people in private sessions, it's very much me dialoguing and asking questions and gathering a feel for who's driving the boat around different decisions that, or different choices that an individual is out to make for themselves. And the way that I describe this energetically, the way that I feel it when people speak from the voice of their limited mind, it sounds very much like wah, 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 like the teacher from, what is it, the Peanuts? Because it's very rational, it's very logical, it's very analytical, it's very closed-minded, it's very, well, this is the way it is, and this is the way it has to be. Versus, and I'll talk about this in a little bit, but with the inner wisdom, it almost feels like a little bell is just kind of like ding a ding a ding a ding, like, ooh, you're right on the money. Sometimes I'll get chills going down my body when I speak some sort of truth from my inner wisdom, or when I'm in conversation with somebody who is very connected to their inner wisdom. It feels expansive. It feels really amazing, actually. And often, when I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, but often when we're in tune with our inner wisdom, there is an upliftment. Like we feel this sense of emotion. There's an emotionality to it, but it's not a negative emotion. It's very much the positive emotion. So you may feel some sense of peace, love, joy coming through. It feels very, very good. When our limited mind is driving the car, we might have a difficult time staying motivated to stick with things that you think would be good for you, or we're in procrastination and not doing the things that we really want to be doing. You feel tired most of the time. That's number one indicator, is we're low on energy when our inner wisdom is not behind the wheel. When we are mentally initiated in our actions, it drains our energy. You might be spending a lot of time Googling how to fix your problem, or asking people's opinions. When people ask how you're doing, you might say, I'm fine, but the reality is on the inside, like, you're not feeling fine. So there's emotional incoherence where what you say and what you feel aren't actually in alignment. You either can't get out of bed, or you can't stop working and moving to the point of just distracting yourself from what you are really feeling. So there's a lot of distraction energy where we, like, I noticed this in myself, like when I start just cleaning my house from top to bottom, it's usually because there's something kind of gnawing at me and I'm trying to avoid thinking about it. I'm trying to, more importantly, I'm trying to avoid feeling it. It's like not even wanting to admit or see that there is the problem there to begin with. You might say, I should a lot. I should get up and go to work. I should clean the house. I should pay the bills, do the laundry, et cetera, et cetera. You seek validation from others, sometimes without even knowing it. You have very few to no relationships that are truly satisfying and nourishing to your soul, or you do, but you don't, those aren't the people that you choose to spend the bulk of your time with. It's hard for you to stay present to the current, to the present moment. You pre-experience everything. And what I mean by pre-experiencing is that you have this like preconceived notion, especially this shows up with people. So people that maybe a coworker who has been really annoying in the past. So anytime they walk into the room or you pass them in the hallway, your body and your mind are already like predetermining how that conversation is going to go based on your past experience with them, rather than staying tuned into the present and letting that moment unfold in whatever way that it could. You spend time wishing the people or situations in your life to be different than they are, that if only syndrome, the grass is greener on the other side. Whether you speak it or not, you hold judgment or opinion about the behavior and actions of others. More, when your mind is driving the car, doubt and confusion are near constant companions. You don't allow yourself or others the freedom to change. It's a big one. Your home and work environment feels chaotic. So our home especially reflects our inner state of being. So if you have If you have a lot of things in your environment or unfinished projects around your home, clutter, all of these things reflect what's going on, that we're not clearing out some emotional or mental energy that's just kind of sticking around. No matter how good life gets, it always feels like something is missing. Contentment and peace feel elusive to you. Your desires feel conditional. So like if you want more money in your life, it may feel like that's dependent on me working harder or more often, or right, it's conditional on something. Being in a loving relationship is conditional on me being a certain way, or me finding the right person, and et cetera, or like being able to enjoy your kids is dependent on how well behaved they are. Just to give you some examples, we talked about this. You see limitation rather than possibility. Your breath feels constricted. So we're starting to get into the physical stuff. Your breath may feel constricted. Your muscles are probably tense. You may have some physical symptoms going on, some background pain, annoying aches, this sort of thing. And then there's mental associations. If this, then that. It's your meaning-making machine. So someone may say something to you, and you interpret it to mean something negative, but that's more based on like a default, a past experience. It's another form of pre-experiencing your life. Okay, finally, when your inner wisdom is driving the car, there's only one slide for this one. You actually feel good. So physically, mentally, and emotionally, you feel good. You are thinking thoughts that make you feel good, which means that your feelings and emotions are in a positive state, and you take action that feels good to your soul. So everything feels like it's in alignment. You feel clear about where you're going and how you're going to get there. There's clarity. You feel energized, vibrant, and joyful. You wake up excited to start your day. You feel satisfied, successful, or peaceful most of the time, not always. You see possibility rather than limitation. Your breath moves and expands with ease. There is no thought. Isn't that interesting? One of the things that I've noticed as my intuition has gradually been coming back online over the last few years is that when I'm really tied into my higher self, my inner wisdom, it's a totally different mental energy. Like it's not a thinking energy. It's like I get ideas and I have thoughts, but it's like they don't come from the same space. And so yeah, you might notice that as you start to slip more into this inner wisdom energy, that your thinking feels different. And it is because it's coming from a different space. And our muscles are relaxed. Our body just simply feels good. Okay. I hope that was helpful. I think that, yeah, that's all I have for you today. Basically, what I want you to glean from this is that it's really, really simple to know when we are in alignment and when we aren't, because we feel good when we're in alignment and we feel not so good when we're not in alignment. And as I've really explored this concept of inner wisdom with myself and with my clients, what I discover is that when we are blocked by something, it's because we're spending the majority of our energy in these first 3 slides about the mind driving the car. We spend a lot of time in those energies. And if you think about, what I said with the inner wisdom is that we feel good. So you can ask yourself questions of like, how often do I really feel good in my life? How often do I feel, how often do I feel energized? Where did it go? Energized, vibrant, and joyful. How often do I wake up excited to start my day? And this, like, your answer to these questions will kind of give you an indicator of how you're doing. How connected are you to your inner wisdom? And, the more muscle tension, the more thinking like that, hamster wheel type thinking, the more present you are to that in your life, it really is a sign that things are out of balance. And this work of tuning into your intuition and your inner wisdom is really the gateway to help you come back into alignment. All right. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know if you have questions, and I'll see you soon. Thanks.